Did we hear the Llorona?
Ah!
Okay, you guys, so I'm here with my sister Cynthia.
Hey guys!
So as you guys can tell by the setting, we are cooking currently. But we were thinking of doing a story time for you guys just because we're talking yesterday and we realized that we have some really funny memories and we could say a really good story for you guys because you know what, like now that we're older we could really evaluate about this situation. So let's just hop right into the story because I know you guys are waiting because you guys see the title. But anyways, started because I know you guys want to know. Did we hear the Llorona?
Ah!
And if you guys want to know, we're
Places just stop. Don't pick it up. It's hot. Just stop.
Making tacos de adobada and el pastor. But
Sis, you talk so bad.
They look the same. So let's just jump right into this story. So every year when we're younger, me and my family would go on a camping trip up in
Lake Chelan. Every year. My dad would book it like a year before, so you knew it was serious.
We knew it was serious.
It's a serious family trip.
This was like a serious family trip, right? And I remember when we were in this camping trip, you know, whatever, we do the usual, like, go to the water, we eat, we relax, you know. That
we ate bomb food, though.
Yeah, like the usual camping trips, you know.
And we relax a lot.
Yeah, it was like a really relaxed family trip. So one particular day.
Night, actually.
But basically, this night, how were we sleeping, sis? So we all slept on a
air mattress. Don't laugh. We didn't have sleeping bags. So you're cheating a little bit.
So it was kind of camping.
We're a little comfy.
Yeah.
But my dad was sleeping here, and then it's Andrea, me, and then my mom.
So we're all sleeping in this one little bed, right? And if you guys know how a tent looks, obviously like the window is
in the back behind
the bed. And I remember one time we knocked out, we fell asleep, you know.
It was a typical day,
it was a typical night, you know, ready for the next day. And then we start hearing someone crying. It wasn't even crying. It was like screaming.
Was literally next to a small creek.
Oh yeah,
okay,
it was.
Our bed was next to a small creek, so you could hear the water, right?
Yeah, you could hear the water.
And I remember, you know, I didn't really wake up till like I started hearing it more. Like it just started to sound louder and like closer and louder.
It sounded like crying and screaming, like she was like in pain and needed help or something.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, and then we all eventually woke up and we all kind of just sit there.
I was just
in disbelief. Yeah. You know, we're like, what is this?
I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, what is that? And she's like, it's your dream, mija, just go back to sleep.
My mom knew damn right this was no dream. Right?
My parents were even scared, but they weren't trying to show it.
Low-key, my dad was low-key pooping himself.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were, like, all scared. And, honestly, I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, this is a lady. She's crying. But then, my mind started to think this is the Llorona. So, you know, basically, we started hearing this. And it sounded closer and closer. And honestly, we were so scared.
Yeah, it sounded like she was right behind us screaming, and I was so scared.
I remember looking up, and I was like, oh hell no!
I better not see a shadow. Or
we're like, all freaking out,
and like it's not a dream.
My parents wanted to go and check, right? But I was like, Dad, no. But my parents wanted to be little investigators and go check. I feel like we kind of convinced them not to. And like that night, it literally lasted for a good, like, what, 3 hours?
Probably.
It lasted for.
Literally, we're like.
And this wasn't like like she's crying, she's gonna go back to her tent. She literally was walking all around this campsite.
I think she was running all around the campsite into people's campsites.
And it sounded just like an echo, like just everybody in this campsite could hear this girl crying. And like you could start hearing tents opening.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, I feel bad for that person. Like that person's gonna get killed just because, you know, me and my sis.
Think of the worst.
Me and my sis thought out about the Llorona, and we swore by it because the Llorona does swim around oceans and
rivers.
Water.
And And we were by the water, so we're like, oh hell no, she's here to get us, you know, knowing us. But then we end up falling asleep again, you know, we forget about it. But then till the next morning, you know, this camping site, there's like, you obviously have your campsite, but you have like neighbors, so there's everyone around your campsite.
Yeah.
And you just hear people chismeando about this, like, if like, what the hell are we?
I know.
And I remember my mom was like, she was washing some dishes.
I bet my mom was standing by the tree.
My mom was like,
dish, and she was like eavesdropping into like the neighbors' like conversation.
She's like, wait, but I heard. And then my mom has the audacity to go into their walk into their campsite.
No invitation.
No invitation. And she swore she knew what happened, knowing damn well she didn't know anything. She just wanted to know what they knew.
Yeah.
So, what my mom, citing my mom's words, she said that this was a lady that was on drugs, you guys.
Which kind of drugs?
I'm pretty sure it was crack, heroin.
Okay.
I don't know what
Really?
did they do. Something crazy like that. I'm pretty sure it was like
On meth?
meth. That's the one. Meth is crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I could just imagine how this lady looked. Just imagine. I'm gonna put a picture right here of how she looks.
Right here. Right here.
You know which
I'm
one.
making room for it.
She was running around, screaming and crying, and I feel like she was probably scared. It was probably her first time. It was her trip, you know. I don't know though. She was just a crazy lady,
Yeah.
and then no. And in the night we heard ambulances, or was it the next morning?
No. It was like that night. I think it was ambulances came to pick her up because we even saw lights like
You could
reflecting from our tent.
Yeah, you could see like the red lights, like the sirens, and we're like, oh hell no, like did she die?
I don't know if it was, honestly.
So I recall, what my mind recalls is I heard that she was on a floaty, and she was floating around the river, crying. And you guys, I strongly believe this story that I made up in my head because this. Like, other than that, I just feel like whoever brought her to that camping site probably regrets it. Sis, like they're probably like, nah, never again are we bringing her. She's rowdy. Dude, honestly, huh?
If you know, you know, Andrea.
Get out.
Bye.
Yeah, you can't be.
This thing is just getting really hot.
Look at this. Like, that's just so. So yeah, that you guys, this is how our stove gets.
Record me.
Guys, my mom swears we said the story wrong, so she is gonna elaborate on her side.
Well, that camping trip, we had our tent was right next to the little creek, not an ocean, a little creek. So about 3 in the morning, we hear this like wailing, like crying, like really, really super loud. And right away, I like, me and Adolfo like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? So the girl, Drea was beside her dad, and then Cynthia was right next to me, so we were both on each end.
We all got close to each other there.
So like, we were just like, it was just the scariest feeling ever, because I remember like hearing it, and our right behind us was like the little window you can zip up or zip
Like
out.
open it.
You can open it.
Yeah.
And that's the side where the little creek was, like up on that side. So then we were just kind of laying there hoping like it'll go away, but it was really, really, really loud. And we were just kind of whispering like, oh my God, what the hell is that? So then it literally sounded like somebody was being murdered in the woods. That's how loud this lady was crying and yelling. And then after a while, we heard her like running close to us. We could hear her footsteps, and the like when you step on like twigs and stuff. So then
She's barefoot.
so anyways, we were just kind of just laying there all still, like,
Sweating.
and at one point I swear we heard her crying right outside our tent, like right outside, like right behind us. Like you could hear her crying and like shivering because it was cold. So she was like, you could hear her shivering and crying, and we were just laying there. I would like
not breathing.
Like I think I could like hear my heartbeat in my ears. It was the scariest thing. Anyway, so finally we were just kind of laying there, and we did not. I think that was the longest few hours of our lives that night. So then finally, the crying sounded like it was coming from like farther away, but this time it was like they were like literally chopping her up. She was yelling, like yelling. I mean, this sounded like we're camping in the middle of the woods, so you can hear the echo, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it was so scary. Finally, like we got some sleep. We got up the next morning, and after we had breakfast, I was washing some pans, and I could hear the neighbors talking. And finally, I was like, oh, you know, what happened? We heard everybody yelling. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, because a few people, you can hear them, like, turn their cars on and go help her because they thought she was getting murdered. So they're like, yeah, some of us got up, and because we thought, you know, somebody was being murdered in the woods. So he's like, they drove off to look for her. Finally, he's like, when they finally caught up to where she was, it was a girl high on some type of drug, running around the campsite, like just running around in the dark because it's dark. There's no lights. It's just completely pitch black. When we heard her yelling like she was getting murdered, at that point, the ambulance, the paramedics were trying to get her on the ambulance. So that's when she was like literally yelling, like they're killing her.
Oh yeah.
So the neighbor, he was saying that the ambulance didn't want to go all the way in the campsite and like scare everybody, so they kind of picked her up at like kind of the top of the hill or whatever. But it turned out it was this girl got high on something, started walking around, got lost, and was literally running through the campsite crying, barefoot, cold, shivering. It was awful. We were just like scared shitless. Like the girls were sleeping.
I was scared.
I don't know if they woke up or not.
I did.
But I think by far that was one of the most scariest nights we had camping ever, I think.
Yeah, honestly.
That's story time with Mama Bear Maricela.
What's your guys' theory? Do you think she's still a drug addict?
I think she went to rehab.
Wait, we're gonna show you guys the food when we're done.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. There are tacos that we made. Those look yummy, sissy. You know the fucking vibes.